1999 or maybe 2000, my company had made streaming broadband content for the Singapore government, and it was for schools. And they were modules that we'd made explaining concepts of pressure, density, stuff like that. So I whipped my laptop out and I started showing, and it was mostly point and click, but it was interactive way of teaching. And they were saying, oh, okay, there's a lot of potential for this, and I started describing how the the learnings and the amount of time that is being spent by the kid in each screen can actually be transmitted back to a central server where they can analyze who's like struggling with something and who's so there's a tremendous amount of potential. So what's your take on pricing, content pricing, box pricing? Do you have anything worked out yet, or?
Yeah, no, we're still working on, we're in discussion with a couple partners. We hope to identify one, if it happens by the end of this year, so we'll announce that. We think, it's got to be 4,000 or less. I mean,
right.
To even start, to even, enter it. I think there's value. I mean, we don't necessarily believe, $20 US, everything here is always half of it. You say it's $50, it's going to be $25, because we think education is viewed a little differently by parents. So, ultimately, I think the bigger goal is if we can position it properly and launch the product and service properly. We hope parents don't look at it as a frivolous expense. It's more like I put food on the table, I have shelter, I have utilities, whether that's water or electricity, and education and learning is one of those. So if we that kind of goes in line in terms of we believe in probably a subscription model, some form of subscription model as well.
Is there a potential for you to work with the existing cable operators, DTH providers, and install your technology onto their set-top boxes? Because that would be a killer app.
Yeah, so we interestingly enough, about a year ago, we did have a lot of discussions with DTH manufacturers and the Bartons of the world, things like that. India is a different. I think conceptually the answer is yes, but India is a little different because the cost of the DTH boxes themselves are just being destroyed in terms of going all the way down. They don't want to spend another dime on capex to anything else. But in other markets, it's different. So in China, we actually recently announced a partnership with a company there. It's a China Beijing Digital. They're a set-top box manufacturer. So there, the government actually is involved. So they have a mandate to put 250 million set-top boxes into homes.
Wow.
So we're kind of riding behind that. And the idea there is we use cell phone technology, so the size of the actual printed circuit board of the technology is no bigger than a standard phone, but it's put inside of a box to kind of look like a set-top box. But there we can actually integrate, the discussion is, can we integrate into another set-top box or something, into a television set or something else? And then we get out of the business of providing a physical product. It's more like delivering that service.
So it sounds like there's a lot of content development opportunity for your platform for Indian companies as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like Atin and everyone else here, we believe in the local ecosystem as well. Like in Brazil, Mexico, we have a bunch of titles that were developed that were local brands, outside of the country, people and that kind of thing. So we're all for it.
So Atin, just a follow-up question after hearing a lot of buffet offerings which seem to be really taking off. Do you have any plans for a buffet offering yourself? I'd love to play all your PSP, PS3 games for 200 rupees. I really want to play your games for 200 rupees.
As of now, I don't think it's part of our business model yet. But if you look at all the discussion that has happened with what Vishal is pointing at, what Prakash talked about, what Mike is also talking about. I think if we look at the future of this game development industry or the gaming industry as such, there are a lot of Indian paradigm that needs to come out, and the success depends on those Indian innovations. You take a US or a UK model and try doing it, I don't think it's going to happen that way. The second part of it is most probably while we are talking about, and it's pretty interesting, and this is not from the ski side, it's not a ski side, but ski from an outside perspective, if I look into the Indian game development thing, I think we also need to try to define, at least for the development industry, what exactly are we talking about. Because the moment you say game, and since the time I have joined, like a game is defined by Need for Speed, is defined by God of War, is defined by Call of Duty. Those are the marquee titles. But more and more, what I am hearing from the panel is it's also about content development, and the biggest opportunity cross-platform that is coming out is content development that's going to be entertaining, going to be interactive. And from there onwards, perhaps even the games that we talk about may change into, let's not call it education, let's not call it game, but
Something
else,
uniquely Indian.
something uniquely Indian.
Why not? So many things seem to be uniquely Indian anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you are talking about density, you go to a kid and say like through interactivity, I will teach you how to learn density. He is not going to touch it. So it's only the parent who will touch it. At the same time, you take a God of War and tell the kid will touch it, but the parent will not allow him to touch it. So we have to find a midway maybe in terms of the content.
You know, you touched upon content and the relevance of content. Can't be stressed enough. I think all of what we have today as content is not yet addressing the social and the cultural context of India. You've made a start, but there is still a long way to go. If you look at the movie business in India, if you look at the television business, you look at the music business, it's totally dominated by Indian content. So my view on this is that if there's going to be a large gaming industry in India, there's no reason why it will not be dominated by Indian content, because all the other entertainment mediums have Indian content which is predominant. And I think there's a lot of Indianization of games that can happen. For example, in TV, we are already seeing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire being packaged in a uniquely Indian way with Amitabh Bachchan, and Big Brother has become Big Boss in its own way, where we have marriages inside and so on. I see that a lot of opportunity there, and I think when you look at what Nitish is saying of phones, Android phones with decent screen sizes becoming, going at a price point of 4,000 rupees. And when you think of, the rural areas in India where there's no power for a lot of time, there's a lot of opportunity for the mobile and time pass on the mobile, as they say. And I think